What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, aka Mr. Cincinnati. I am joined by the podcast dad himself with a brand new background tonight. You got no more blank wall there. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And yeah, we are not alone. We've got the Frat Daddy, Bryce Cannon, with us here tonight. It is great to see you boys. How we doing?
Doing well. Like we kind of talked about before hitting record. I mean, it's not how we anticipated the mood to be, but hey, we're gonna make the best of it.
Yeah, that's certainly all that we can do. Yeah, Choops, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. It's running with some new technology, trying to get everything up, and as Bryce mentioned, until some news broke, and unfortunately, that's just kind of part of the wrestling. Guys aren't immortal, and real life happens sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately. So for those that have not learned yet, Bray Wyatt has passed away. Learned this, Triple H tweeted about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Appears to be, at least according to Sean Ross Sapp, some complications from COVID and some heart issues. Yeah, this one hurts. I think that's just kind of the best way to put it. This is one of the most creative minds I think that we've seen in the wrestling business, and there was still so much more that he could do. I don't know. I and part of my language, but I'm pretty fucking gutted over this one. I mean, this is a guy that, again, just one of the most unique performers in the wrestling business that we've ever seen. And we've also lost Terry Funk within the last 24 hours as well. So it's a really, really rough day for pro wrestling. I don't even know where we begin here. I know Choops. I know that we had talked a little bit about Funk and everything that he's done, but now there's this just additional layer. I'm just gonna kick it over to you, podcast dad, because I need some comfort. Let's start with, again, the most recent with Bray Wyatt. Your favorite memory of him, that you can think of right now.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the tribute. Twitter calling it nowadays. We saw a lot of the tributes on there. That stuck out to me the most. The WrestleMania 30 with John Cena and Bray Wyatt promo. That video package, that was awesome. Just hearing him cut that promo. And then the most recent one we got, where he came back and he was just so thankful to come back, and I think it was on a SmackDown, and he was thankful for everything that that the fans wanted him back, thankful for everything, and it just kind of hits different when it was going on then. It just hits different now, seeing how much he loved wrestling and loved. And as far as Matt, I'll go to the year was 2015, 2015, the Royal Rumble with Daniel Bryan. But it was a really, really good match. That just all words, and as got 4 kids, and that's what he has home. His kids are without a father, and I Amanda Hubert's tweet about lost uncle. You got to think of him, and the last one is Eric Rowan. You got to what's going through his mind. Hopefully people are reaching and connecting with him. Just hopefully we can remember Bray for all the good stuff he did. Hopefully tomorrow night's Smack show, and let's get rid of all the storylines for one night. Let's do a tribute show to Bray, kind of celebrate life and remember him for all the good things that he was able to bring to the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, touched so many lives, and he was such a unique character in his presentation, and everything was just so meticulously plotted. Bryce, when you hear about something that something like this, what goes through your mind as somebody that is in a locker room, and you hear that you have lost a member of that locker room, kind of what goes through somebody's mind that we may not be thinking about just as fans, kind of outside looking in.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly sucks because you have to think about, you had mentioned Rowan and the Huberts and his family, but you also got to think about the boys that have to perform tomorrow too, because a lot of them, I mean, they're close. Bray Wyatt was still technically an active member of the WWE roster, and I think, like you were talking about earlier, comfort and things like that. I think, and I don't know if I'm wrong for saying this, but it's a little easier when it is a legend or an older person that, we know the time's coming type deal, or you hear that they're, sure, battling sickness and everything like this. But I mean, it was just a couple months ago, they were talking about how great Bray was doing. They were talking about an in-ring return. They were talking about everything like that. And then just to hear this out of nowhere, it sucks. I mean, we just had a guy, and I apologize, his name was Chris, but I can't think of his last name right now. But I only met him a couple of times, but we wrestled with him down in Florida, and he passed away, young guy, just out of the blue. And they did a memorial show for him a couple weekends ago. But it's one of those things where, yeah, the show goes on, but the memory's still there type deal. It's never easy to deal with death, whether it's close to you, whether it's someone who's experienced in it, and you may not know the person, but it's never easy because you don't know the right words to say. But yeah, this one was just kind of wow. Like he was only 36, so it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that all of us were hoping that he would come back from this, and we had heard great reports. We had heard bumps in the road. We had heard things progressing, and it really is unfortunate that we are not going to see what more that he could have done. Certainly it's different from our perspective as just wrestling fans. Obviously there's a person behind this character that we've lost, and again, our thoughts and our prayers are with his family and his friends at this time. But you also still can't help but wonder, what could have been with such a unique and dynamic character that it just for whatever reason didn't work out, I think, the way that a lot of people would have liked to have seen it, and kind of hoping that creative would finally get behind what he's doing, and just again the mind that he has. Like, if you could just crawl around and just sit there for a day and think about or observe what he thinks about wrestling and how he wants to present his character. I mean, there really was nobody like him, and obviously nobody like Terry Funk either, who passed away yesterday. I mean, these are two. I mean, these are true losses that have had significant contributions to the wrestling business, and I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for sure to heal over this one.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Wyatt thing. Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember Bray Wyatt when he was returning. The White Rabbit were having so much fun. Yeah. Every week with those clues on the White Rabbit. I mean, we were going down wormholes. We were going down everything we could just to figure out what's going on. We were finding everybody's tweet, and that it goes to his creativity, and it's just I just remember how much fun I had with his return. Yeah. So try to end on that. I just remember. I mean, we thought it was how many different people coming back with him. It was dude, it was a good time. It was a good time, but yeah. And again, like you said, Eric, thoughts and prayers to his family, JoJo, and it's it's never easy, but I think he had a lot of good people around him and good people that know him that will help pick them up. So.
For sure. Bryce, any final thoughts, wrestler to wrestler? We'd love to hear your perspective, man.
Yeah, no, Bray Wyatt was one of those to look up to anyways. I mean, you watch a guy who was known as Husky Harris, transform into what Bray Wyatt became, that then transformed into the Fiend, who brought up a lot of guys who, were very stagnant. They'd be put with Bray, and next thing you know, they're stars. I mean, I honestly loved the Husky Harris gimmick, the Army tank with the Ferrari engine. That always clicked in my head for some reason, and I loved it. Him just wrestling in like the old school, like high-waisted trunks with the cowboy wrestling boots. That's kind of where I remember, and I was a kid in essence whenever that was going on. But I was always attracted to him on that NXT show out of all the characters there. But just the crazy mind that man had for creativity is just insane. As far as, using like the QR codes, using the little flashes on the screen, blowing out the lantern for your lights to come back on and things like that. It's just, he's definitely going to be missed. But on the other end of things, that there will be a lot of guys at Wembley Stadium on Sunday repping Bray Wyatt and, paying that man tribute. I hope we get to see like a Sister Abigail somewhere in there and that place goes nuts. That would be great. You're going to see a lot of Terry Funk tributes go on this weekend, whether it be at Wembley, whether it be at, any independent show out there. They're gone, but their legacy lives on forever. And, all we can do is just try to, uphold that,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well said.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself. And, the purpose of tonight's show, and we're gonna give the rest of the night a little bit of levity here. All In is coming in this weekend, Wembley Stadium. I mean, we're looking at one of the largest crowds, not just for AEW, but in the history of professional wrestling. I mean, we're looking at over 80,000 tickets purchased so far. I think that we're looking at, according at least to Wrestling Inc., over 90,000 pre-ordered pay-per-view buys. I mean, this is huge. I mean, this is monumental for them, and certainly a almost a love letter to the original All In, from 5 years ago. I mean, here we are looking at AEW and the landscape of wrestling changing, in a 5-year span. Bryce, I'm going to start you off with this one here. Just when you think about what AEW has been able to accomplish in the last 5 years, what are some of the first things that come to your mind seeing a true alternative to WWE, really coming back in the landscape after, almost 2 decades?
Yeah. I mean, it's given guys an opportunity. And when I say guys, I mean guys like me. I never would have been able to wrestle in front of 11,000 people if it weren't for this company coming along. Because, WWE was doing like the little squash matches and everything like that, but your real name wasn't getting put out there. Like I would have had to gone over some other creative name that they would have given me versus Bryce Cannon, where I got to go out there with my double popped collars. They said my name in front of 11,000 people. I got to get clotheslined by Jake the Snake Roberts, which ultimately led to a DDT spot on an independent show. I got to, lock up with Lance Archer, a guy who's killing it out there, whether it be in New Japan or any independent that he's on. Butcher and Blade. I mean, I personally can't thank All Elite Wrestling enough. But back to your point of what has it done, I feel like it made WWE step up their product, because there for a while, the independent scene was getting super crazy because guys and girls didn't like watching it on their TV every week. So they would go find those little shows in their hometown, and they supported independent wrestling because what they were getting on their TV channels was not anything near what they used to have. And in saying that, that led to, the quote unquote biggest independent show to date, which would have been All In. And I mean, I watched it and was blown away by it. And that's another thing too, is anything that AEW has been doubted about, they have come back, gave the middle finger, and done it a lot bigger than anyone anticipated them to do. They've taken guys like MJF, they've taken guys like Ricky Starks, like Powerhouse Hobbs, and built them and made them homegrown people. Dr. Britt Baker, example. Everybody used to boo her out of the building because her promos absolutely sucked. Now, you can't wait to hear what she says next. Now she's about to perform in front of 80,000 people live in Wembley Stadium. It's things like that. Like they have truly taken what everybody didn't like about WWE, created their own company, and are thriving.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And Choops, I know that you definitely want to chime in here, so the floor is yours. I mean, when you look at these last 5 years, what kind of comes to mind as we're looking at the sequel to one of the biggest indie shows in wrestling history?
Yeah, I think Bryce hit the nail right on the head. Anytime we've touched the tip, though. Anytime we've doubted whether it was the original Stadium Stampede, what are they doing? It was amazing. It was the blood and guts. What are they doing? Amazing. Whether it was starting the company in general. I'm
gonna stop you there too.
Sure.
A Mimosa Mayhem match.
Raw, I think
what the hell is that?
Does a very good job.
Put over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that they've done, it either works in the end,
taking risks,
it's good, because I want to get back to the point where it's everybody has stepped up their game. WWE stepped up their game. You've had, Impact has been really, really good lately. Everybody is stepping up their game because there's another game in town, and it works. And it's good for everybody, because now we're seeing people like a Jon Moxley get kind of the push we wanted to see him get. We see guys like a Malachi in a big spot where he wasn't getting that just in the WWE. I'm excited for this show. I'm see what it looks like. Excited to see all of it. As my background, I apologize to everybody. Can't control those things.
That's fine.
That looks scary. But
high flyer.
It's just it's amazing that they've been able to do this 5 years. Like, they've been able to cultivate a crowd and do this and have this big event 5 years in, when everybody said they weren't going to do it.
I think it all goes to drive. I mean, if you truly believe in something, if you truly believe that you can provide a product unlike any other, if you can provide a product that is going to go toe-to-toe with the biggest company out there, and you do it, I mean, what is there stopping you type deal? Tony Khan had a mission. Yeah, he gets called a mark. Yeah, he gets called all these names for, bringing in talent, but he's giving these people jobs. He is giving, for instance, Billy Gunn. What was he going to do? Sit and just go sign autographs every couple of months, But no, now that man gets to go and kind of, end his career on a high note in front of 80,000 people. Sting. We would have probably never seen him after WWE with the whole, injury debacle and everything like that. Bryan Danielson. We would have never seen him in a ring. It's Saraya. I mean, there's a list of people that Tony Khan has brought in that would never have been given an opportunity to step foot in a wrestling ring ever again.
Yeah. And as we, we're going to get into on the card, but, for you guys, looking at the card that we have, just, are you satisfied with what it is that you're seeing, or what we're expecting to see at Wembley this weekend based on the build so far?
I'll say 50-50 to be honest, and I can explain that once y'all give your answers.
Sure. Choops?
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about it a little bit. A little bit more sensitivity for this card, I think, would have been. It just like Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's Saturday. I'm disappointed that there's only one women's match on the card. I think they have a women's roster to do more than one women's match on the
Sure.
The Will Ospreay Kenny Omega match, I think, would have been the bigger draw to do one of the biggest wrestling shows ever. The story of Cole was great, but if it was like the best wrestling match maybe ever, and then see what'll happen. Every time. So I'm going to they're probably going to prove me wrong anyway. So I'll continue to watch and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm in a lot of the same boat. I mean, even when this show first got announced, shameless plug, I did a video about 4 months ago on matches I would like to see or things that I would like to see as part of this show. I was horribly wrong, which is what I mean. I'll still plug it. Like it's a fun watch if you got a few minutes. But I do agree that this is one of the biggest wrestling shows of all time, and it seems like that sense of urgency showed up a little too late. Here we are a few days out, and we're still debating whether certain matches should have made the card. Definitely would have wanted to see more women's matches. But I think this is probably the best place to start here. Let's just get right into the prediction. Oh wait, no, I still got to hear Bryce's thoughts on this, but I do think that we do need to come back and talk about the MJF thing. I mean, he's the only, he and Cole are the only ones with 2 matches on the card. But yeah, Bryce, before we actually get into the card predictions, what do you think about the build to this show and what AEW's done so far?
So if you listen to like Busted Open or anything like that, I mean, you hear Bully talk about, they shouldn't have even announced the card for this show. And I completely agree with him. You sold out an arena. You sold out the biggest arena, Wembley Stadium, with 0 matches announced. You could have like brought back Nia Jax and put her against Nyla Rose. That place is still going to be sold out. You could have come and put like the worst wrestler, Colin Delaney, in a match against Adam Cole. The stadium still would have been sold out. But I think, like you guys are saying, it was rushed in how they were doing it. Plus, they've got their foot in their mouth because they got a pay-per-view again in a week or two. Yep. So it's kind of like, okay, so what goes on now? Like, are these matches just going to spill over and we're going to watch the same thing but in the States type deal? But I mean, there are some intriguing things like I'll go ahead and say it. I don't have a pick for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't have a pick yet. There are matches on this card that intrigue me. But then on the other hand, you've got matches that look like they were just put together because these guys needed a spot on the card. And so, like you said, there should have been another women's match. There could have been a women's stadium stampede. They could have done a women's gimmick match of some sort to involve a lot of them. But I think what we're going to see is a lot of them on 0 hour, just so they had the credential behind them of saying, I wrestled in Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 people type deal. So we'll have to see what matches those are. But yeah, that's kind of just my thought on it. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, AEW always pulls out bangers when it comes to pay-per-views. So it's going to be a great buy for anybody who purchases it. My thought is just, like y'all said, it was a little rushed. But if they wouldn't have, if they would have done this card and not had announced it, I'd have been fine with that too, just being like, okay, what's next? I feel like that would have been a bigger draw than okay, now we're going to see, Young Bucks versus FTR, versus, oh God, here comes the Young Bucks. Who are they facing? Then FTR. You're going to get pops out of people if you did that.
Yeah.
And Bully Ray put that over extremely, but that's just kind of my thought process on it.
Yeah, I mean, and
the other things.
No, you're good. It's all you, Dad.
When you look at the card, like to hone that down a bit more to some of the rivalries that you had and blow those off at this show.
Yeah, and I think this is really good starting point here because 0 hour we at least know that Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships are going to be on the line. Aussie Open taking on Adam Cole and MJF. This is a very, very bold move creatively by AEW as far as having their world champion not only wrestling twice. It's it's nothing we haven't seen before as far as a world champion wrestling twice on a pay-per-view. But I mean, he's gonna be on the pre-show, and part of this is the nod back to the original All In, where he was the very first person out of the tunnel and worked the very first match of that night. I know that I've got my thoughts on this. We'll start with the podcast Dad on this one here first. What do you think about MJF not only wrestling the pre-show, but he's also got the world title match later on tonight?
Risk for sure. Your injury. Anything in a ring. So that would be my biggest kind of hurdle is, do you want to compromise that main event at 0 hour? I think what this is doing is trying to pull in everybody they can. I don't know if they win the titles. It does feel kind of like, okay, they didn't go to the ROH titles. I don't know if they win. Do we get an Ospreay kind of? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll be on my toes and ready to see what I will say for this match. I will say Aussie Open retains a little bit more of that tension.
For sure. Yeah, Bryce, what do you think about this match? I mean, is this what kind of gamble in your mind is this to have your world champion? He's going to be main eventing. He's got his world title defense, but he's competing for the tag team titles and was likely to be the very first match that this crowd at Wembley sees. What are you thinking about this?
Hear me out. Big if the match happens. It's a huge risk. It only takes one fumble to roll an ankle and ruin your entire main event for the biggest show. However, they could pull a Ricky Morton and act as if MJF's injured or Adam Cole's injured, only for him to come out later in the night for the main event type deal. But I honestly don't see this match happening. I see Roderick Strong and Taven and Bennett, coming out, stopping it or whatever, and then we've got them versus Aussie Open maybe. Or the match happens, but Aussie Open is definitely keeping the belts. It's just something with the contract that MJF had Adam Cole sign comes into play here. Adam Cole didn't read that thing. So maybe it's if they lose, Adam Cole loses his shot at the world title, or if they win, Adam Cole doesn't get a shot again, and now Adam Cole's stuck with MJF as ROH tag champs. There's some form of storyline here. I just don't see the match happening because it's too big of a risk.
Yeah. See, I am of the mind that, and I love both those points. I have no problem with MJF being on 0 hour. One, because of the Easter egg that I think is pretty cool. And I mean, look, here we are, 5 years from the original All In. He is, he's curtain jerking and now, has a guaranteed main event spot. But, we know that AEW likes to, we know that they like to have those little reminders and callbacks to things that are pretty cool. I think that at the very least, advertising that MJF is going to be on 0 Hour, it makes sure that everybody that they can possibly get into a seat at Wembley as soon as possible. I mean, that's the best way to do it, is advertise the possibility of your world champion, working 0 Hour. I agree with you. I think that Aussie Open retains. There might be some. I just don't see either one of these guys taking a clean loss. But I do think that it does start to add a little bit more of that friction that we're continuing to see. I mean, how many times do we need to see Adam Cole with the backstab dap? I mean, like it's coming. I think that this gets us a little bit closer to it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This storyline pisses me off so bad because I have zero clue what direction they're going in. And so it's like, especially with this whole, zero, right. But that's what they want, is that I will be on my way to a show on Sunday when the show is going on. However, I will be having it playing in my passenger seat, listening to it over the speakers in my vehicle. But I don't know. Roderick Strong and the Kingdom are definitely getting involved somehow, whether it is MJF turning on, Adam and joining them, or Adam, going back with his brothers and turning on Max. Like, it's just, either way you go, it's semi-predictable. It's just, I don't know which way they're going.
Yeah, it's. I don't know, Choops. What you got on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna save my big angle to the, because I don't know if it happens during this match. I do think we get a big angle in the main event.
Okay. So real quick before we move on to the next match, final prediction: who walks out with these titles? I'm gonna say that Aussie Open retains. What about you guys?
Same.
Yeah, right. Aussie Open.
Okay, I like it. And real quick, because we are a channel that enjoys shameless plugs, Bryce, tell everybody where they.
Yeah, so tomorrow, which would be Friday, I will be at Platinum Championship Wrestling in Covington, Georgia, where I am their heavyweight champion of Covington, not the world, because I don't travel the world with it, and I hate when independent wrestlers say that unless they do go across the pond or somewhere. Anyways, Saturday I'm doing it's not even a promotion, I just got picked up for it, but it's a back-to-school bash in Fitzgerald, Georgia. So I guess wrestling for some kids. And then Sunday we will be in Warner Robins for Georgia Independent Professional Wrestling, where I will be facing Aaron Black for the heavyweight championship there. Last time I was in a championship match, well, not the last time, but one and only Mr. Cincinnati helped us get those nice and shiny straps. So I don't know if I'll need him this time, but it might come in handy.
It's good. Everybody needs to have a lawyer in their back pocket. If people haven't learned that by now, you gotta have at least one.
Yeah. Trust me, he lets everybody know all the time.
As he should.
I wouldn't say all the time.
It's a career highlight.
I wouldn't say all the time.
What would you say? What would you say? Once every 2 episodes?
Well, okay. Well, I would like to point out that there's other things that I like people to know about me before I say that I'm a lawyer.
You mention it every episode.
Yeah, some things we got to save for the future Patreon. That's what we got here. But yeah. So 0 Hour. I think, at least my guess is, I think that we'll only see that one match. Let's move on to the main card here. And because we have already aired our frustrations with the women's division, the fact that we're only getting one match, we are getting a 4-way match. AEW Women's World Championship. We have Saraya taking on Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, Britt Baker. This was a bit of a wonky build to get to what we always had a feeling that Saraya was going to be in this match at Wembley. I think that a lot of us were hoping that it would be Jamie Hayter, but it sounds like she's still a ways away from actually getting cleared. Podcast Dad, I'm gonna let you kick this one off because I know that you've had some frustration that you've wanted to air about AEW's booking of the women's division. So I'm ready for my fix.
All
Hit
right.
me.
AEW fans, it's everybody's women. Just it's not just AEW. In my opinion, I thought this was a lazy build to this match. You have the shock title win with Akira Shida winning it. We all kind of put the pieces together that she's not coming back. That means she's going to be a transitional champion to Saraya. They do this tournament where Shida has to wrestle to get to the bye, and then you have Britt and Saraya facing. Do you remember who they fought to get into this match? Anybody? Because I don't.
Sky Blue and
someone
else.
Was one of them. Ding ding. That was one of them. Yes.
There
you go. So for me, this was it was a lazy build. This was kind of almost like we got to get a women's match on the card. Our 4 top women in the company right now, and just get them on the card. It's that where we have one of the biggest shows ever, and Jade Cargill's not on the card. Someone that they were actively building, and she's nowhere to be found. We're into this. The booking of this was just lazy to get to. I think we can all kind of see where this is going to be Saraya's win, and good for Saraya. Great comeback going into the heel. I want to be booked better because we've seen it and been booked better, and we know it's possible. I can't remember which pay-per-view it was, but I think was it what was it? Eric, do you remember which one it was? The tag match that we timed that I said would be under 10 minutes. Was that Money in the Bank?
Yeah, that was Ronda Shayna.
Exactly. It's
and I think we come in just 30 seconds under that. If I think, yeah.
So from bell to bell, how long do you think this match gets?
I'd probably say 10 to 12.
Yeah, I would probably stick in the same range too. While it was an underwhelming build, Saraya's got the hometown love. Crowd's gonna pop for her. We know that. Bryce, if you've Tony, got the pencil, that's true. But I think that I think that a lot of people think that this is the coronation of Saraya as a world champion for the first time in years, and everybody's kind of been waiting for that moment. But Bryce, my question for you is: if you've got the pencil, what would you change, if anything, about this match or the build leading up to it?
Well, there would be a lot of build up. Like you said, there was Tony got a bye for no absolute reason. I felt like, there's tension between these ladies, but there's no real tension to why all 4 of them are performing against each other. So at least some intermingling there. Maybe even building up 3 months ago, decide who's actually in the match. And then from there, each week, whether it's singles matches, throw in some tag matches, because you got Tony Storm and Saraya who are in a tag team. Why haven't we seen Dr. Britt Baker and Shida versus Saraya and Tony Storm with a little bit of tension thrown in with Tony and Saraya, But I actually think this is going to go a different way than Chris does. If it were me, it would get a boo. But long term, I think they're going to put it on Britt just because she is the quote unquote homegrown talent here. And I think they're going to want their homegrown talents to shine in this moment. We did it type deal. So I've got Britt Baker on this one. Saraya is my other pick just because she is the the homegrown talent. Like you guys said, everybody's wanting to see it. I just don't feel like she's got the momentum behind her anymore. Whenever she first came back, sure, I could see it. But right now, they've killed her off with the whole spray paint gimmick with Ruby and Tony. So I think Britt is literally the only person that could help elevate the title in essence. Like, yeah, it'd be a cheap pop for Saraya to get it, but I see Britt walking away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Outcast storyline as a whole has lost a lot of that luster because it's something that we've seen and experienced before with the NWO that like they're really like I can understand getting this collective of wrestlers together that are coming over from WWE and kind of having outsider influence of a story, kind of a rehash of what we had seen from 96 through 2001. And with the depth of talent that this women's division has, there are so many more things that we, should expect from them and what they can do. The Jamie Hayter injury certainly doesn't help matters whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure that had a lot to play into why we're getting the match that we're getting. But I do agree that I think that a lot more that just they have done a lot more with these women to get to this point. I mean, the fact that we don't even have Chris Statlander on the card is a tragedy because she came back, kicked ass, took names with significant knee injury and no love on the card. Jake Cargill's still nowhere to be found. I mean, I just don't know where it is that they go from here with this women's division. I still think gut tells me I'm still going to say Saraya walks out with the title. I think that this is an easy way for Saraya to get a pin without necessarily having to knock off Tony for it. We'll see, but I want to hear from you guys. What are your final picks?
I'll go Saraya. I think the cheap pop wins. Especially if this opens the card, the she'll win.
Yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if it's Saraya, but I think Britt Baker.
Okay. All right. I like it. Well, you guys have all heard it here first. And yeah, if you are watching along with us, feel free to jump in the chat here with your predictions, any questions that you have for us. I'd like to think that we're pretty easygoing guys to chat with here about wrestling.
This isn't an interview. I'm not answering any questions.
Yeah. Huh?
Did the check not clear?
There's that frat star coming out. Yeah.
Well, I'll get my lawyer on it.
Facts, yeah.
Well, he's gonna get his lawyer on it, and what am I supposed to do?
It goes right back to you, doesn't it, Mr. Cincinnati?
Well, I said that, not me. Okay, leave me alone.
Move on.
Moving left and right along. So we've got a 6-man tag match that we got here going here. Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Kota be taking on Takeshita, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. I want to start this by saying Juice Robinson and Jay White have been the brightest spots of Collision this entire summer. I mean, it feels like, even though this show was built for that other guy, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just
hot take.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that. Fine. If you want to know, if you have questions, feel free to email me, wrestlingjunkiespot@gmail.com. If you disagree with what I'm saying, then all the socials are right there. Follow that QR code and you can come chirp at me about it. But seriously, they have been featured on just about every single episode of Collision, and we both know that I do not watch this show live on Saturday nights, but it is one way that I like to spend my Sundays the next day because I know that I get to see these guys. There's what?
Hot take.
What? What? To say that they're also an important part of a show that was made to allegedly, stroke or placate another person on the roster? I think that they're great. I do think that it's odd that Kenny Omega is in a 6-man tag here. I would obviously like the trilogy with Ospreay, but we're getting what we're getting. Bryce, I'm going to turn this one over to you, man. What do you think of this match we got going on here?
One word: random. I get there was a little story there with the Golden Bullet Club or whatever they're calling themselves, but why is Kenny not doing a 6-man with the Young Bucks? I get the coordination with Hangman there. This is just a random one that they put together so some of their guys could be on the card. And there's not much to really talk about tonight, in all honesty, about this match here. So I went ahead and picked Kenny, Hangman, and Coda just because it's an easy win for them. They win in Wembley.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I don't think that there's a whole lot that to write home about this particular match. That's fine. I do think that there is definitely things that you could have done with these guys that would be a little bit more entertaining. It's just
Well, in essence, I mean, they had a great thing going with the whole Don Callis heat with Takeshita. And then it's like they pushed it straight to the Jericho match because they needed something to bite into with that. So they completely threw Takeshita in this random-ass match for no reason. So it's like I would have much rather seen like an 8-man tag probably with like the Guns and Jay White and Juice with Ospreay, Aussie Open, and I don't know who else you could throw in there, but there were other ways to play around this card here, and it just this is just a random one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the idea of Ibushi doing a multi-man match simply because he did look a little slow in Blood and Guts. I mean, that was his third match, I think, in the last year and a half. Things, so I can understand the ring rust. I mean, and I can understand his placement in multi-man, but Kenny Omega should not be in a trios match on the biggest show that this company has ever put together. It's just it's random. Choops,
I don't know what's more random, the match or the question that just popped up.
Right. Well,
on that note,
yeah,
I'm gonna turn over the podcast there for a second.
Yeah, I would have much rather Kenny Omega and Jay White. I think that would have been a much bigger match in Wembley. Like, I don't know why we're getting a multi-man match. This has been a 2-week build. We haven't seen Hangman or Ibushi in the build, so it just kind of feels, like Bryce said, thrown together random. It just to get everybody on the card. And I like what the Bullet Club Gold is doing. Bullet Club Collision. They're like what they're doing. So you agree they're important to the show. Okay, they are important to the show. They also have a role to fill, not just that one guy that guy
is a pain in my ass. Whatever.
The guy. I will say it'll be interesting to see Hangman with all the kind of stuff going on with that guy. They're going to be under the same roof. Is a match on early? I would assume so.
That's a really good question.
And
this is kind of the litmus test of it, yeah.
And with you really put Kenny Omega in a 3 matches, like this in the biggest wrestling show of all time.
I mean, I understand that, but at the flip side, and Bryce, feel free to chime in on this. I mean, we're also looking at the possibility of the world champion opening the pre-show. So that kind of says, at least in my mind, that placement may not necessarily matter a whole hell of a lot on this particular card. But I'll turn that over to Bryce and get his thoughts on this. And is this the right use of Kenny Omega in this match here?
I think your comment there about the placement isn't important. Couldn't be more wrong, because having MJF being advertised in that first spot is a placement thing. It is like you were saying, to get those extra buys. Everybody's and their mom's going to tune into that 0 hour because they're like, okay, how is this going to affect our main event?
Sure.
I'm invested in it. This is about the only thing I'm invested in this show. But I'm gonna tell you what, I'm going to watch it from beginning to end because I know MJF's going to be on that first hour. I know MJF's going to be on last. All that happens in between, kind of mixed together like a Subway sandwich. You can tell us all of the ingredients, but at the end of the day, they're all mixed together. You're not tasting anything different except for those two pieces of bread. And right now, MJF is that bread holding that sandwich together, in my opinion. So the placement part, I think it does matter. However, with Kenny Omega, that man is a star in his own. Kenny versus MJF should be happening, in my opinion. That would have been a hell of a match. But like you said, Kenny versus Jay White would have been huge too. I think the placement of him in a trios, yes, is a little awkward. But who knows? Kenny's a EVP. He's the one who probably made this and said, "This is what I want to do." And if that's what he wants to do, I mean, you can't really, deny the man,
Sure.
Because they have full creative.
Gotta love that, man. I agree with you. I think final prediction is safe to say the elite or the golden elite gets the win on this one. This is Ibushi's. I mean, this is probably the next, as far as the time between matches. I mean, Blood and Guts and this is probably the shortest frame that he's had over the last 18 months. I know he did some stuff over WrestleMania weekend and kind of shaking off of that ring rust still a little bit too. But I mean, I would agree that this is kind of just one of those matches that just is what it is, and we'll enjoy ourselves watching the Golden Lovers reunite on pay-per-view for the first time, and let that be that. So I'm gonna say Golden Elite on this one. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, Golden Elite all the way.
Yeah, I'll go that as well.
Okay. All right. Well, next up, we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. It's a stampede. It's a stadium stampede in Wembley Stadium. We've got Blackpool Combat Club taking on, Blackpool Combat Club, Santana and Ortiz, who returned last night or last week. Time just flies anymore. Taking on Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston. Thank you very much for that. And Pento El Cero Miedo. Obviously, shout out to Mox. I can't be Mr. Cincinnati and not, show some love for a hometown hero. I think that Justin Roberts just says it best anytime this shit's just about to hit the fan. This is just going to be a fun one and taking advantage of the fact that they're in Wembley and they get to cause a little chaos. And I know I like me some chaos, but Choops, what do you think about this match, man?
I can come off mute. All right. Pick.
Wait, with me? Wait.
Yes. No.
Me?
A little while for all for the arena, and I got called no idea what he was talking about.
You did.
Guess what we're getting, guys?
Stadium stampede. Like it's.
You think we're gonna get a cinematic empty stadium match? Absolutely not. We're anarchy in the arena. Thank you. I'm done.
Actually, I'm so glad you mentioned that. To the individual that called our all-in predictions 4 months ago, Neckbeard Fantasy.
Yeah, Neckbeard that.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That. Yeah. This is this is gonna be a fun one, man. I mean, this is gonna be as chaotic as it is. I feel like this is also gonna be sort of a let 'em up kind of just levity, fun sort of thing because we've got some pretty intense matches on the card for the most part. Yes, there's a story to this, but it still just feels like it's going to have some levity and fun spots, and everybody's just going to enjoy themselves watching this. Bryce, when you look at this lineup of the guys that are in this match, who are you most excited to see in this setting?
Probably Orange Cassidy, just to see his use of weapons. Just to see how nonchalantly he hits somebody with like a garbage can lid or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But aside from that, this is going to be a nightmare for production. I feel like there are going to be a lot of missed spots where someone is literally dying and we're not even going to see it, except for on social media or Snapchats later on. Granted, that's just how my mind works. But no, I mean, like you said, this is just one of those let loose, have fun, let the crowd get a holy shit moment in there. Watch some tables get broke, give them some blood, and just give them chaos. Which who doesn't love that, especially in a soccer stadium where those are some of the rowdiest crowds you can be a part of. So why not give them a rowdy match? But yeah, I don't fully understand it because stadium stampedes in the past have legit been full fields, full stadiums that they've been in. So if this is a cinematic match, they're dropping the ball on this, which it could be. Yeah, I see what they're doing. It's technically, like you said, the Anarchy in Arena, but technically they're in an open stadium, so that's why they're doing it. But yeah, I just think it's a nightmare on production's part.
Yeah, I mean, you almost need to have like split screen or the multi-screen setup, kind of like what even we're doing in the stream to catch up with a lot of what we're seeing with these guys.
But even that is going to be horrible because you're not going to be able to, unless you're crossing your eyes, you're not going to be able to see everything.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just this is the perfect way to at least get Mox on a card. I mean, everything that he's been doing with BCC over the last few months, I mean, it's firing on all cylinders. It's also great to see Santana and Ortiz not only back in AEW, but if we were to take the rumors as truth, the fact that they had a falling out for a while, I mean, this is one of the most popular tag teams and certainly in AEW's company history that it seemed like we were not going to see them back on the same page again. Just from a personal standpoint of a relationship that just seemed to have been broken, and here we are looking at them, and they've found a spot for themselves on the biggest card of the year. I mean, I think it evens it out. I'm super pumped to see Eddie Kingston. I mean, he's just one of those guys as well that you're excited to see have an opportunity like this to wrestle in front of 80,000 plus. I mean, when you think of people that have just earned it and deserve it, I mean, he's at the top of the list. I think that you guys would agree on that. And I mean, it's just going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos. I love it. I'm here for it.
Shout out to Chuck and Trent too for getting on this card. I've watched them in a couple, and I've watched them in a couple gyms. So that's really cool to see them get into that giant stadium.
And if we're lucky, we'll see Sue.
I don't know. They've ripped Sue's van door off. She might be in the shop.
I know. Yeah. I know. Whatever. Yeah. Rest in peace to the van. Rest in peace to the van. Bryce, final prediction on this match. What are you thinking, man?
I'm gonna go Blackpool Combat Cub with Santana and Ortiz.
Love it. Choops, what you thinking?
Man, I we're agreeing again. I'm also going to go the BCC.
It sounds like you don't want to agree with them on all.
Not everything.
There sounded like there sounded to be some hesitation there.
Like we need some banter back and forth, but the man's always right. What can I say?
I mean, we've got banter back and forth. I mean,
there's one coming where I'm real excited.
Uh-oh.
He summed it up right. Yes, you see what I put up with.
What
I put up with? It's okay. Yeah. I sought you out.
I was planning on not going into character tonight, but let me get the hair product and get the tip up real fast.
I feel like we almost need to have the elevator music just to, we'll be right back and we'll let you get all,
Yeah. Sure, it wouldn't be the first to get it up real quick.
Hey, it gets up quicker than you think, pal. No blue chew needed.
All right. Okay.
Sponsor us.
Actually, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll gladly be the ambassador. No, you know what? No, I'm gonna leave that part. Won't leave me alone.
Come on, Cincinnati. What's your prediction?
What? Okay. I think that. Yeah, I'm gonna go BCC on this one, mostly because coming off of the loss of Blood and Guts. I mean, this is a big show. I think that they need this opportunity to have a statement win. I still think that there's plenty more left to be done with Mox and Kingston. I think this is just kind of the beginning of that. So give me BCC and Santana Ortiz.
Hey, quick question.
Next match, actually,
quick question before we move on. So All Out is next weekend. Do you see any of these matches, like all these multi-man matches, do you see any fallout going on to that next card? Like, do we see some of these one-on-one matches on that all-out card?
It has to, because they've announced a couple. Yeah. I mean, they announced like a couple of the matches for All Out last night on AEW, and I was like, what? Yeah. Like, where is this coming from? Like, why is Darby Allin getting this random ass title shot when he's in a coffin match? Like, but to answer your question, yes, I do think.
And I think that this definitely begs. I mean, this is a bold move by AEW. We have seen WWE do stuff like this. Like, I think the best one that comes to mind, at least for me, is Survivor Series, and then they followed it up with December to Dismember a couple of weeks after that. I mean, that was not only one of the worst. I mean, one of the worst shows of the year, but one of their worst pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah, but that was even still two separate brands. You know what I mean? Like, they were still like, that was a brand specific show. This is still. That's true. All AEW.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, as far as like seeing people that have pay-per-views so close like that. I mean, this is, and I again, I love AEW, so don't come at me with your pitchforks, but this is a bad idea, I think.
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to do two shows so close, just make All In a 2-day event. I mean, I think that, I mean, if they could sell 80,000 tickets for one day, do you really I mean, they could easily do the same thing and split the baby there, I think. That's just me.
That would be a risky move. Because you got the one, and you can get the one, but you get 2 days in a row with 80,000. That's, I'm sure they thought about it for sure, but if you Wests and all that good stuff, I don't know if maybe at this point does that make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at least for me, what could justify it is that they're at least taking this show overseas, London crowd. You know that they'll be white hot for anything wrestling because they very rarely get live events. Yeah. That I personally think that if they did do a 2-day All In as opposed to 1 week All In, next week All Out, I think that they could have pulled that off. I would have rather seen that over 2 back-to-back nights as opposed to feeling like once the show is over, I'm just getting a rehash or some just kind of additional dovetail of what I already saw a week ago. And Bryce, feel free to chime in here. I mean, like, I think that they could have. I mean, yes, I'm not discounting anything that they've done as far as the ticket sales and what they're going to do for merch and things like that. But I think that they could have pulled this off in 2 shows in 1 weekend. Bryce, what do you think?
I just think it should have been spaced out a little more. I mean, come on, somebody's doing the logistics and the scheduling of this. They knew they were having 2 pay-per-views back to back to back to back. I'm not a fan of it, but they've got a plan for it. I mean, there's smart people running this company, so there's a rhyme and a reason for everything they're doing. I'm not knocking that, but yeah, I mean, a 2-day event, even if it was All In Saturday, All Out Sunday. I mean, Impact does it to where they do, like, Rebellion was in Atlanta. Then their next night, they're doing Rebellion Fallout, which is going to be on that premiere that Thursday type deal. So it's like film your next pay-per-view, just release it the next week or whatever, and have it called something like Fallout like that, to where it makes sense, instead of it being like, oh, we're at All Out, these matches are bigger and better, when they're not. Granted, they got more reason than half of these matches on this card, but it is what it is at that point.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. It's real quiet in the chats here, but we'll still be here for a while enjoying ourselves with this. But next match we got up. I'm actually low key pretty excited for this one, and I think this one has a lot to dissect here. But we've got Sting and Darby Allin taking on Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland. Why are you shaking your head at me like that, Chris, right now?
Because you didn't watch Dynamite. You didn't see what happened.
Okay, well, you want to fill me in here, like, just.
So
See how he treats me?
With the Swerve and AR Fox dynamic, they broke the team up, which I hate. I loved that team together. Like, it seemed like AR Fox was really starting to get his footing under him. He fit well with Swerve. They did well as a team, and they broke him up. I mean,
it beat the brakes off of Nick Wayne a couple of weeks ago. Like, I thought that I thought that makes you blood brothers for a while.
Oh, and that's the whole thing.
Hugging in the ring last night.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. It's I'm sorry I did that. Okay, like, that's cool. And Nick Wayne's like, what? You just threw my bloody shirt at my mom. Like, what are you talking about? The match I think will be good. I'm really enjoying what Swerve is doing. I think Swerve by the end of the year could be world champion, like really, really big heel world champion that they could have. I'm not gonna hate Christian being in the match because I think Christian's always fun, and is there a chance we get to see appearance from Edge? I don't know. That's all you got to put that in mind. I mean, okay, maybe not Edge, maybe corner.
Yeah, so at least with Edge and
I got a pop
at least from what I've read, would I love to see it? Yes, but I think that even though, yes, the last match on his contract he has wrestled, said contract is not expired just yet. So
that doesn't mean he can't get a ticket.
I just think.
All right, so
that doesn't mean he can't buy. I want to make sure Sting stays alive.
Oh yeah, true.
Like, I don't know if there's travel issues with passports or something like that, legal issues with AR Fox. I'm not sure. If that is the case, you did not have to break them up. You've got a whole ass faction in the embassy that you could have just been like, hey, you're not ready.
Yeah.
Insert Brian Cage, insert Christian. I don't fully understand why they kicked AR Fox out of that after advertising him for only a week. This one made no sense to me, and that's why I'm going Darby Allin and Sting on this one.
Yeah. You got to think it's an easy. Sorry, Dad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just call me Dad. Don't do that. It's podcast Dad to you, pal.
Fine, podcast Dad. Whatever. All right. Okay.
I hate him, but I have to. Sting and Darby are.
Why do you hate me? I don't.
Seriously.
Pick him off.
I said I hate.
Yeah.
See, I hate it. I hate it.
Well, he's Charlie Chapped ass tonight, and we didn't do anything wrong.
You haven't done anything wrong yet.
Yeah,
you did laugh at my joke.
I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I laugh at dad jokes. They're easy humor.
No, you didn't laugh at my joke. You didn't laugh at my corner joke.
Oh, all right, whatever. That better? I laugh.
What's your prediction, Mr. Cincinnati?
Yeah, Sting Darby, easy enough. Sting, one of the biggest shows that he's wrestled in a very long time. Darby's got a championship match for the TNT title coming up in a week. I mean, you're not beating him in front of a crowd that big and then hoping to have him still white hot for a title match next week. So I think that one's pretty straightforward. What about you guys?
How match? Did they explain that?
I do not know.
It's the typical put your opponent in a coffin.
Is it one?
But is it one or both this time? Or if it's a coffin made for two? It could be.
Well, we'll see Swerve and Christian get put in either one or two coffins. So
yeah. I mean, I go ahead, bud. Sorry.
I was gonna say I think that big win in this. I think everything he's done in his career. I think a win on the biggest stage possible. WrestleMania.
Yeah, especially if. Oh God. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
Damn.
It's one of those nights with him tonight. It's
tired.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, he's got a couple oozes and we don't. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's all right. No, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we got the Trios Championship. We've got House of Black taking on the Acclaimed, and Daddy Ass is back. I
No,
mean,
he's not.
No, he's not.
I should have watched last night. No,
Billy Gunn.
okay, all right, fine, all right. Well, whatever. Yeah, that the King of the Ring from 1999 will be wrestling it all in this upcoming weekend. How about that? Yeah, I'll start this one off. I think that this is gonna be a super fun match. Love House of Black. Love what they've done with the Trios Championships. I think though, however, this is just gonna be a fun, feel good win for the Acclaimed here. You know, they have. I don't know, they've been one of the hottest acts going forever, and there's no signs of letting up. I mean, this is like this is not what I thought this collective would be once I saw, the first time I saw Gun Club and the Acclaim together, I would not have thought that we would have ended up here with Badass instead. Sorry, I want to make sure I got it right. Still cornering the Acclaimed after all this time. So, yeah, I think that this is their opportunity to get a big win here. Let them take this Trio Championship home. I can't talk right now. Podcast Dad, what's your pick? What's your thoughts?
I really like the match. I'm going back and forth on who's going to win. I think you could get a big pop from the Acclaimed, and I think the Acclaimed, the Trio titles next week, wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You're also going very, very strong with deals to try to keep those titles as strong as possible, establishing them as much as you can. I'm real in this match. I think the House of Black entrance is going to be amazing in that stadium.
Yep.
I don't know how long Max Caster is going to be, but a pretty long ramp. So I hope he's got something good cooked up.
Yeah.
I think they can continue to keep titles on them and build them up as those killers of the division.
Yeah, I mean they've definitely done a lot for. I mean, and this was a division that was relatively snake bit, and we're still kind of dealing with the all out fallout from last year and kind of what we thought that was going to happen with those titles. So I can see how, keeping them on House of Black might help to further that cause. Frat Daddy, what you thinking?
I was going to say, I think it's funny you said snake bit, considering what happened.
No, it's just...
No,
I can't take him anywhere, dude.
No, I am going to agree with Chris on this one with House of Black going over. Billy Gunn said something intriguing in his promo, and he said that, this match, it was all or nothing. So in my head, that means career versus titles for him. And with him saying that, I felt, okay, he teased the retirement. Now he's going to retire in front of 80,000 people. He's going to go out with that big bang. I don't think the Acclaimed, while their tag title run was good, I don't think they'd be able to uphold what House of Black has done. I think, like you said, the titles would get taken off of them rather quickly. And I think for this one, it would make sense. Let Billy Gunn go out, head held high. I'm sure he wants his sons to retire him. So that would be like my only setback for this one. But I'm going House of Black with Billy Gunn taking his final retirement.
Okay. I like it. And just because we're at this point, the midway point of the card that we're reviewing here, check that QR code. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff. We like talking wrestling. We like watching. We like listening to you guys watch us talk about wrestling. So if you got questions, comments, join us. Anything that you want to see to help improve this experience and what we're trying to do here on the Wrestling Junkies podcast, definitely let us know. I just needed to make sure I pop that in there every once in a while. Next up, we got a match that I think that this has divided a lot of people here. One of only 3 singles matches on this card. We've got Chris Jericho taking on Will Ospreay. This is not what I thought Will Ospreay would be doing 4 months ago when we first heard that All In was being announced. And Chris Jericho has found himself not only in a marquee singles match, but he has already confirmed that Fozzy will be playing him out to the ring. So we're going to get to hear Judas in all of its glory, I'm sure. And we will probably see Chris Jericho with a microphone singing as he's making his walk. Frat Daddy, what do you think of this match? Do you want to see it, yes or no? What would you like to see if this isn't... okay.
Good Lord. I moved my table and the whole thing falls. Wow. That just shows you how pumped up I am for All In.
I can't take you guys anywhere. Shit.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
It's all good.
No, I'm actually pretty excited for this one. If you know anything about the Frat Daddy, I do wrestle in Canton, Georgia, which is Southern Honor Wrestling. Little known fact, Fozzy performs or rehearses in that exact building. Rich Ward runs production all the time for Southern Honor. So it's nothing for me to see Rich. So I'm super excited for him and, the opportunity that he's getting, to play at Wembley and everything like that. So that's super awesome. But I've actually enjoyed this short buildup, actually. I liked, granted, earlier I was saying how they should have kept, Don Callis with Takeshita and all of that. But the way that they've done this has been pretty good, which is because Jericho is involved with it. Jericho's in control of his creative. Yeah. So that's why it's so intriguing. Anything Jericho does is going to be entertaining and worth watching. So with saying that, I think the whole Jericho Appreciation Society, like that whole angle was pretty good. The breakup of them, all the guys leaving Jericho accepting Don Callis' invitation to the Don Callis family, only to be like, oh, let me look at his painting, and it's Chris Jericho's head, because everybody knew Jericho was going to say no, me included, and then bam, he says yes. There's the picture. I think that was perfect. Random of Will Ospreay popping up, I will say that, but to each their own. They had to throw him somewhere now that Kenny's, lollygagging in the 6-man. So, I think it's personally interesting. And on this one, I'm going to go Will Ospreay. I think Jericho's going to put over Will, give Will his moment, show him that he belongs. And Jericho's that type of guy too. I mean, look what he's done with Orange Cassidy, Action Andretti, and guys like that. Jericho's not one of those guys who has to win in a situation. Jericho's one of those few who actually understands the business and realizes, okay, I've got star power that can make or break this kid's career. And that's why he's putting over Will Ospreay on Sunday.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that Ospreay takes the W here. While this is not the match I would have wanted to see, this isn't going to be a bad match. I mean, Jericho can still move with the best of them, even at damn near 50 years old. This isn't going to be any different here. And, Ospreay, even though we know that he's been dealing with some injuries over the last few months, that he's kind of battling his way back from, I mean, this is still going to be a clinic. I mean, and to get a generational matchup like this, I mean, you really can't beat it. You just can't. I mean, Ospreay is doing some of his career right now, and the sky's the limit of what he can do. I think that his New Japan contract is coming due soon, so this might be an assess for what he might be able to command if he's able to steal the show at Wembley and see what AEW wants to do with him. I'm personally not disappointed with the fact that we're getting this one-on-one match. Jericho just always has that extra pay-per-view gear, especially when he's working with somebody that is a step quicker than him. He's got that Kobe mentality where it's like, even if his body's slowing down, his brain's still going, and I don't see that changing here. So Yeah, great match. I'm going to say Ospreay. Choops, what you thinking?
Real quick, the promos alone last night were phenomenal for this too.
No,
those two promos alone sold it for me too. Just like the raw emotion behind both of them. Will Ospreay, kind of rudely telling the crowd to shut up, but also with that, like, hey, I'm trying to get out what I need to get out and talk, because Jericho talking about how he called up Will Ospreay. Will would have been in a wheelchair had it not been for Jericho calling him and things like that. It's like, okay, now they're making this match personal, which gives it that little oomph that it needed in such a short time. So it kind of explained why Ospreay popped up so randomly, but that's all I had to say.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, my favorite is back to being a face. I think it was needed. I think he was a heel for a while, and it was getting to the point where it was getting a little stale. And Jericho master defending him. I think this is that for doing that with another turn. I'm actually going to go Chris Jericho. He gets the win here. I was sticking around afterwards, so I think we're going to kind of do next with Don Callis and Jericho, whether that's in Society going to the Don family or whatever. But I'm going to go, and I think we get the kind of that pop when Jericho wins in front of that huge audience.
You mentioned you don't know if Ospreay is going to stick around. I think that's why they had him mention his contract with New Japan was up in 6 months. I think Tony's going to use this opportunity to be like, hey, I will put you against the best and give you wins or make you look like a bigger star than you already are. That's why I think Will gets that win, is it's going to be a bribe politic type thing for Tony to, hey, come to AEW.
Yeah.
Sign a contract with us.
I can see that. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nice fun. It's definitely a nice time to be Will Ospreay and be in the wrestling business right now. And just because, I mean, the world's his freaking oyster. I mean, there's so many things that he could do that he, just the sky's the limit for him. I love this match. I wish that it wouldn't get the hate that it did on the internet just when it was first announced. I mean, let's have some fun with it. I mean, we really don't have a ton of intergenerational matchups left at this point, and I mean, the fact that we get something like this, I mean, we just gotta sit, bask, and enjoy it, if you ask me. Now to one of the more controversial matches on the card for recent events. Young Bucks are taking on FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. We're not here to dissect what is going on with Cash Wheeler and the legal situation. No, not my monkey, not my farm, not doing that. It's fine. The match on paper itself, I mean, this is the ultimate rubber match. We know that these guys are going to blow the roof off of it. Do we see a title change here as a result of what's going on in recent weeks, or do you think they stay the course? Frat Daddy, let's hear what you think on this one, man.
Yeah, as a predominantly tag team wrestler, I am super excited about this one. Like I shared in our interview, when All Elite Wrestling came to Savannah, I was a part of it. Whatever, I got to kind of help out with the FTR meet and greet. So get to talk with these guys. They're super genuine, super nice guys. I got to meet Matt and Nick, super nice guys also. They actually introduced themselves to me because I wasn't paying attention and didn't see them at the time, but they came up and introduced themselves to me. So, kind of getting to meet all four competitors in this match and everything, it's pretty cool. But just this match in general, from a psychological mindset and just in-ring performance, is going to be stellar. These guys are fixing to perform in front of 80,000 people, and they're going to bring their best in everything they do. I feel like, everything's going to mean something. Every move is going to hit. Every big spot is going to be performed perfectly. This match is probably going to be and go down in history as one of the best tag team matches that the world has ever seen. And it happens at the biggest professional wrestling show there is. With that being said, I don't think the titles change due to the legality issues and everything like that have happened. I think they change because the Young Bucks are quote unquote AEW homegrown guys. And just like Dr. Britt Baker, they're going to want their homegrown people to shine, which is why Young Bucks are taking this one.
Troops, what you think, my friend?
Yeah, I think this is easily match of the night. This is kind of what should be big. Make it kind of short and sweet. It's the rubber back and forth, or these four go back and forth. I think FTR retains with his run yet. Obviously the legal issues have to play out, but I think FTR will retain. I think we might get a little club interaction. This match to Young Bucks with Jay White and Juice. Maybe that plays a factor into it, and then they can branch off into their feud. But I will say FTR retains.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that both have made excellent points. I think I'm still going to go FTR on this one. It seems like there's not only still things they can do as far as the tag team division, but there's the alliance with CM Punk and more that they can still do and be, I would like to see a proper FTR heel run at this point. I'd like to see them slowly have that descent into just plain douchebaggery. And I mean, for all we know, that this outside of the ring incident could nudge them in that direction if we're lucky. But yeah, I while I think that it's great that the homegrown talent get the wins where they can, FTR is still one of, if not the best tag team in wrestling right now. I'd like to see him retain. But
Eric's favorite match
gets back up here. Yeah,
it's coming up. Eric's favorite match.
I wish you would not. I wish you would not do that to me. I wish you would not do that to me.
This is for the
fine. Okay, like I have so many problems with. Okay, you know what? Look. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. You wanted it. Now you got it. Okay. It's no secret that I have had my heart broken by Chick Magnet Punk a couple of times in my wrestling fandom over the last 25 years. I'm not doing with it. I'm not doing this with him anymore. CM Punk, Smojo, Real World Championship, whatever that means. Why is it that Punk gets a new show and still gets to be world champion of that show? It seems to be like this is the de facto championship of that brand, all because you talk shit to your bosses on live television after a day at the who does that? Who does that?
Because he moves merch, pal.
I know that he does. Like, I'm not saying that.
Well, Pepper Bottom said he was a lovely guy on heels, so I don't know.
I'm sure that he's a delight. Like I don't doubt that.
Like
I think
you sound fired up.
It is entirely possible to be fired up and still serve platitudes and niceties to people even when you're fired up. So great, Pep. I'm glad that you had a fantastic experience working with CM Punk on heels. I really, 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 really am, and we'd love to hear all about it. So, Bryce, tell him that he's got to get on the show for an actual interview next time.
He big leagued you, pal.
He did actually a couple of times. Anyway,
shots.
I am annoyed with this match because here we are fighting over what is meant to be a quote-unquote second world title for this show that was set up to keep him away from a bunch of people that he talked shit about because he had what I'm just guessing is a bad day at the office. And I understand it. Yeah, you never lost the title, like whatever. But what are the odds that we're actually going to get this, real world championship unification match with MJF? Another, knock that I've always had against AEW is that the interim world championship stuff, like what we've seen in the women's division, we've seen in the men's division. Like I'm they've done it so often over the last 5 years with multiple championships that I'm kind of just over it. And whatever. This will be a fun match. I really don't care who wins. Bryce, I gotta stop talking now. So just
yeah. No, with this one, when Collision comes on, I'm usually on my way to a show or on my way back from a show or at a show. So I've seen zero build up to this match. And quite frankly, all I know is CM Punk versus Samoa Joe from like ROH days. So no doubt it's going to be a great match, but I don't have any investment in this match. I haven't really been behind CM Punk since he came back. Yeah, it was cool, like the initial pop that he got and all that. But I'm going to go CM Punk on this one just because it makes sense. I mean, Samoa Joe, great guy. I just don't see him as a, quote, real world champion, whatever that means. But, yeah, I mean, why not just go ahead and take that title, do like WWE did, just give it another name. Now you got kind of like WWE Championship and the Heavyweight Championship, which I feel like is probably what they're going to end up doing. But, yeah, also, why not like give Punk that international title or whatever the hell Orange Cassidy has, because it's doing nothing on Orange Cassidy at the moment. So it was doing great with him defending it every week, first match on the show, but now it's lost in a 6-man tag or Stadium Stampede, excuse me. You could do that and make it more prestigious. But yeah, other than that, I have no real relationship to this match, but CM Punk is going to be my pick.
Fair. Choops.
My match is they were in the Owen Hart and the whole build up to CM Punk and never beat some Joe. And then on Collision, CM Punk beats Joe. Have CM Punk for that win over Mojo. It went so, and it would have paid off the last 15 years of kind of Samoa Joe holding that over his head. Been better in the it went about 15 minutes. That's kind of what I expect here. They're both not spring chickens. They're getting up there in age. It'll be interesting to see. You want to talk about placement? Where does this go on the card? Is this the co-main event, or?
I definitely see this being split.
I see this going on.
Yeah, I definitely see it like being an elite heavy and then maybe CM Punk, or a CM Punk and then an elite heavy.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
Oh. Everything all right over there, Mr. Cincinnati?
I think I lost you boys here. Nothing can go wrong when it's live.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Sorry, lost you guys for half a second. That's my apologies. I heard
we could see you perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, I lost you in my ear for a second here. I was pulling up the live chat here, and God bless my buddy John Sunday. He left. I was getting caught up on some of the stuff that's in the stream here. Let's see. MJF is the Rock of the 2020s. Maybe. Yeah. Actually, this is an interesting one. This is podcast that everybody. Just to hear some of the chats we got here. I was asked, honest question in real fight, no weapons, anything goes. Papa H, Stone Cold. Let's just say current physiques now. Who's winning that 1-on-1 shoot fight?
Stone Cold.
Yeah.
All it takes is a heart punch and HHH is out.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
That's funny.
Trish Stratus or Tori Wilson. I'm gonna say Tori after that terrible promo from Trish on Monday night. But I'll leave that to you guys. Yeah, she was my first wrestling crush. I will say that.
I'm gonna say Tori Wilson just because she brought a dog to the ring.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Anywho, I at least want to make sure that I acknowledge those. John, if you're listening, sorry I didn't see those sooner. I love you. Yeah. He knows. All right. Well, it's go time now. We got our main event here. MJF, Adam Cole, AEW World Championship. This is a story that I think a lot of people probably thought would have ended like a month and a half ago. And here we are with one of the best things going in wrestling that is not Bloodline and is not Judgment Day. If you would have told me that this is where this would have ended up as far as this unlikely duo and the things that we would have seen, I mean, we've seen the unlikely duo things in the history of wrestling. And Bryce, tell us, have you ever had that unlikely strange bedfellows tag team partner relationship that we're seeing here with these guys?
Not really. Usually whenever you're put with guys, it's for a reason. Usually it's guys you trained with or anything like that. I think Zach and Peps were kind of that in a way for me. Just because we hated each other, then we, grew to love each other. But as far as just like a random person being put with me and it just being like a click thing, I don't think it's happened type deal. I mean, yeah, I've got great chemistry with a lot of the guys that I feud with in the ring, but never like tagging with, if that makes sense.
No, I got you. And if you would like to hear all the full comments about how Zach Mosley and Pat met Bryce, make sure to check out our interview with Zach Mosley in our archives on YouTube. I'm a company man. Shameless plugs. I'm not sorry about it.
Yeah, but you can't listen to the Cornelius Pepperbottom podcast because it hasn't happened because Pepperbottom big leagued.
Yeah, he did. And I'd like to think that we're some pretty charming guys here, and it just it's a little it's a little I'll pour a little out. That's fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Just more than.
Don't ask follow-ups, all right? Just don't ask follow-ups, all right?
Wow.
All right, look, so serious face, serious moment. I mean, this is likely going to be the match that closes the show here. This was not on my bingo card for what I thought this main event was going to be. So, looking at how this friendship has evolved between MJF and Adam Cole, seeing how they have been able to keep this story going longer than I think that a lot of people thought that the shelf life would last. Even after this, there's still so much more to be done, and there's also still a pay-per-view a week after this that we'll probably see some fallout for this. Bryce, take me through your thoughts on this match, man. Let's start there.
This is where it's hard because it all goes back to 0 hour. Whatever transpires on 0 hour is going to honestly give me my determination for the winner. Okay. I've got my little notebook here. I've got highlighted who, my picks were and everything. And that is the one match that does not have a highlight. Just because I don't know, which is an intriguing portion of a main event when you don't know who is going to win. Makes you want to buy it and watch it. But before I go on, Chris was talking about, he didn't want to spoil his main angle because it dealt with the main event. So I'd like to hear his hot take as to what's going to happen, because maybe that might persuade my answer. I'm literally so 50-50 because there's 12 different ways this story could go. And like I said, it all goes back to that 0 hour. I could see Adam Cole winning, and then I could see MJF winning at the same time. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be Adam Cole, and I think we're going to get some sort of iteration of the Kingdom with the Kingdom.
Oh, that's a nice name. That's got a nice ring.
Yeah, Adam Cole leading a group with Riley returning from his neck, Roderick Strong, Taven, and Bennett. I think that's your big you're gonna have to go after now. I'm shocked at how much the thing MJF and how much of a reaction he's been getting. I think they're gonna go with it and make a beef because he's so well with it. And I think trying to make it obvious that it's going to be Adam Cole, because we all think it's going to be MJF, but they've been the whole time it's going to be Adam Cole. I'm going to go Adams, and it's going to be smart finish with a collective group of people and wanting MJF to face that as we get to 2024 and see what happens with MJF.
And see, I had thought about the whole Kyle O'Reilly coming back thing as well, possibly Bobby Fish. And I think that is the only way Adam Cole wins, is if he does like a faction heel turn type thing. Just because I don't see them beating MJF clean. But kind of the same way with Britt. Adam's not a homegrown person. However, they've been pushing the hell out of him. They gave him a reality TV show, everything like that. And Tony is real high on Adam Cole. And that is why I'm leaning towards Adam Cole. But then just when I think Adam Cole, another idea pops in my head of, well, here's what MJF has. Like, what if MJF pulls back the, what was Stokely Hathaway's group? Like Big Bill and what was their name?
That's a good question.
We'll call them the Stokely Collective. Yeah. Right.
But that little group, like, what happens if they show face? They're not going to be as powerful as that Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom you're talking about, but it's a big faction war, which they might be leaning towards. If I have to pick somebody, I think it's Adam Cole, but that hurts me because I really do like what they're doing with MJF. However, I just feel like MJF tells the same stories every week with his promos.
Yeah, and I think that what makes this one, at least for me, so difficult is that we are so preconditioned to hate MJF that the fact that he has been able to show what he can do as a babyface in this pairing with Adam Cole and doing this unlikely friendship thing, it's wild because it went from, it's Max. Like, he'll turn on anybody the second that he has a chance to. Yes, we know that Adam Cole can do the same thing, but their chemistry together was so unexpected and a bit of a breath of fresh air that AEW severely needed this year, especially going into this card. I mean, it's a lot like it's a lot like Sammy's involvement in the Bloodline saga. I did not think that this relationship with Cole and MJF would continue the way that it did. The pre-tape promos that we're seeing with them and just the sheer fun that they're having doing with this, that it really would not surprise me if either one of them turned on the other. We are conditioned to know that that's what MJF does. And Adam Cole, it's the backstab dap that we has become part of his lore as well. I think that if I got to choose somebody, I'm still going to go MJF. I still don't think that he loses the world title in 2023 at all. But if Adam Cole did win it, and actually this is something I do want to just ask you guys about and get your thoughts on this. If Adam Cole does win the championship here at Wembley this weekend, would you say that this would be, he would be the comeback wrestler of the year, given what we knew about last year, the nasty head injury at Forbidden Door, and what he's been able to come back and do now? I mean, he's looking at main eventing one of the largest wrestling shows in history. I mean, at least for me, and I'd like to hear this from you guys. Comeback wrestler of the year, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
I think yeah, it's a great story. However, it's being shoved down our throat. Adam Cole versus, and it's not even a comeback story, but someone like LA Knight, where they just weren't pushing at all, and the fans took over. That's more of a better comeback story for me than somebody who is, it just shows that their booking's working, but for them to shove Adam Cole down our face. And then they know that anything that MJF touches is going to turn into gold. So let's put our guy that we're trying to push with MJF. Let's do a whole angle. Let's make them friends. So that way they like Adam Cole even more. They're not chanting that Adam Cole baby and double clothesline because of Adam Cole now. They're doing it because of MJF. And that's just kind of how I feel. I don't feel like Adam Cole is, I need to think of how to say this before I say something wrong live. and it's not how this comes off worse saying it than how I feel. I don't think Adam Cole is as good as a standalone as everyone thinks he is.
Not as a face.
Yeah. So basically,
not as a baby face.
Right. Like his stuff in NXT was great, but he had Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish with him. His single stuff is great, but he has managers and stuff with him.
True. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah.
I think a standalone singles career with him is weak. And I don't think it's ready to lead a company. MJF is their hottest thing, so it'd be smart to keep it on MJF, but they're pushing Adam Cole way too hard. And I think that is ultimately going to be the decision, but I'm still 50-50, but Adam Cole is going to be my choice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, two things. The group is called The Firm.
The Firm,
there we go.
Yeah. I knew it was something business. I was like...
Yes. Well, thank you, Wikipedia. And second thing, Jeff Jarrett is the comeback year.
Oh, God. No, not on my channel. We're not
he can be on my channel if you want. Anytime you want, Jeff.
Okay. All right.
I could see I see about him being a standalone face on his own. Heel wise, it might work, and maybe they lean into the power couple aspect with Britt Baker, so maybe win the women's title, they run with that angle. Comeback of the year right there.
I like it. All right. Gotta admit, it's
great guy,
a captive. Yeah. I did meet. Yeah, I met him once. As he was. I think he was still doing the road agent work for a live event in Cincinnati. Very, very nice guy. I'm not throwing shade on Jeff. However, Karen Jarrett, stop hitting referees with guitars. All right. I know how you feel about that, Troops. Leave me alone. Let me have this one. All right.
I just to be smart.
Karen Jarrett. I put this on Twitter, I think, and Karen Jarrett just gives me like Ricky Bobby's wife vibes. Like, I don't know why.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah. No,
I can see it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's fair.
Oh man. I mean, at this point, we have run through this entire card. We I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for you guys. I'm still pretty worried. I mean, this is a huge test for AEW. And what they can do internationally, because that if they knock this out of the park, this will open doors to international markets over there that they desperately need. NXT Europe will likely be a thing within the next 12 to 18 months from what we're hearing. Expectations are high. I mean, point blank, do you guys think that they can deliver? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. AEW, like I said earlier, always does great on pay-per-views. And each and every one of those guys and girls that are on the pay-per-view are professionals. They're used to high stress, high anxiety situations, which they're going to have, because a lot of those people on the card on Sunday have never performed in front of that many people, where you have the Chris Jerichos, the Moxleys, the WWE guys, unfortunately, that have. And with that comes the experience, which is why some of these matches I feel were made, because they're in there with guys who can handle that type of situation. So I'm not worried at all. Some of the matches may not make sense, but it's going to be a great pay-per-view. Like I said, there's no doubt that everybody that comes out of that curtain that night is going to kill it and set that place ablaze. They do it every week. They do it every pay-per-view. They know what they're doing. We're going to be entertained. We might not agree with some of the situations that may occur or some of the booking that happens, but at the same time, I feel like they're going out there in front of 80,000 people and having fun, because they in their minds, and excuse my language, they fucking did it. Yeah. And that is all that they have to say. Who gives a shit if our results and predictions are wrong? Who cares if I think that they should have booked one way, you think they should have booked another? They just sold out an 80,000 seat arena. You can't tell them shit. They did it.
And I mean, they did a lot of that with, next to zero build or a match being announced. I mean, like, you have to.
That was my point earlier.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't announce a single thing, yet they sold it out. That just shows you the name that AEW has. But I've got one question for you guys.
All right.
Go ahead. What are you guys most excited for this show?
For me, I think that it's definitely the crowd for me, because when we went to SummerSlam, that was 59,000 people. That was the largest show that I had ever been to personally. And I know that Troops has been to PLEs before, and I certainly don't want to speak for him or anything like that. But
that was a big.
We have seen, and we've seen in 2023, and Triple H has said this in his press conferences when people ask about even just set design for PLEs and things like that, how they want to emphasize the crowd as they are the stage. They are the ones that are providing that energy and that ambiance. I am so excited to see how the UK crowd reacts to this. Clash of the Castle was awesome. It was amazing. It was one of the best things that Triple H has done in his as far as being at the helm of things. And this is a massive undertaking, and it's so grassroots and gutsy how AEW has done this, and they did not need to advertise a match in order to do this sellout. Everybody there is a buzz here. It's a very palpable, just tangible feeling of, there's going to be something chaotic here. I think that there are some questions about whether it lives up to the hype, and that's to be expected, just because that's wrestling. And I think that a lot of people want to have that conversation, or just want to find reasons to try to take it down a peg. And I think that at least again, I don't want to speak for Choops. He's going to give his thoughts here in a second, but we are of that ilk of, like, you can enjoy both companies and you can have a good time seeing what they're doing and enjoying their respective products. AEW differs from WWE, and I think that a lot of what they're doing, especially with this card that they've got, while it's not a perfect card by any stretch of the imagination, I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to do in front of a large stadium. And the fact that we're getting a company that is breaking WWE numbers to get out there and have fun, much like you said, Bryce, as far as, these are going to be some of the largest crowds that a lot of these people have ever wrestled in front of. And I think that they're going to bring it. So I'm definitely excited to see what kind of love the crowd gives them and how invested they are, because, I mean, we got 6-7 hours of just good wrestling happening. So that's all me. Podcast Dad, take it away.
I think it's the tag team title match. This is the rubber match between those two. I think they're on the biggest show. It's going to be a 35-minute where they're just to the wall, everything they can to make it the best tag match we've ever seen. And I think you have the right two teams to go do that. I think back of, in those takeovers with FTR and DIY, and when tag team wrestling is good, it's amazing. And I think these two teams are just going to go out there and go, we're going to tear the house down. We're going to steal the show. Go watch this. And that's what I'm excited to see is those two teams just go out there and kill it.
Yeah. For me, I am most excited. And this is like with me every WrestleMania too. I am just excited to see the set. I want to know how is AEW going to not only deliver with the card, but how are they going to deliver with the overall look of the pay-per-view as well. So, I mean, the ring's going to have 4 corners no matter what, but it's what do they have around it to make this feel huge other than an 80,000 seat venue. Is their stage going to be WrestleMania-esque? Is it going to be huge? Are they going to give the middle finger and put a fist on the entranceway? Are they going to, these are things that I think of, and it's like, man, like I'm excited. I've seen a little bit of rumblings on Twitter as far as like pictures and stuff that are surfacing of them putting like the canopy up and stuff over the ring or where the ring will be and stuff like that. So, once I see that, I'll be fine. The wrestling will be what it is, and I'll be looking at the set like, I'd have done this different. But no, like I said, I'll be on the way to a show when the pay-per-view is going on. It may or may not be propped up, but don't worry, I'll be paying attention while I'm driving to the road. That is
drive safely.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, I can always watch it back, which is typically what I do on Mondays. If I miss a pay-per-view or something like that. But big day Sunday, shout out. I mean, a lot of my friends who work for AEW are posting, they're getting on their planes today or got on their planes today and everything headed that way. So safe travels to those guys and kill it, man. You guys deserve it. You've worked your asses off your entire careers, your entire lives, and this is something you've all wanted. So just take it and run with it. Show them that this is, where you belong. This isn't just another company. You guys have submitted a legacy here with AEW. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to get your perspective on this and thinking about, there are real human beings behind the people that are portraying these characters and getting a massive opportunity to do something like this. While we certainly can be critical of AEW at times and their builds of their programs, there's a lot to like about what's going on this weekend. I mean, the fact that, this is the company that is bringing a show to Wembley, and it wasn't WWE doing this. There is so much to be excited about. I know that I certainly am. Odds are that I will probably be throwing something in the old Master Built Smoker over here for the occasion. Podcast Dad, what are your final takeaways on what we're getting ready to see this weekend, man?
Yeah, I think overall AEW is going to put on. Is it going to be a show? we will in front of the biggest we've ever seen. We will see. I'm excited for it.
That's a guaranteed already.
Well, that is true. That is true. They mentioned it a couple times last show.
Only like 100. It's okay.
That's all right. Boast about it. You got the numbers.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
Moving forward, is this going to be their WrestleMania? Is All In their WrestleMania moving forward? I think this is going to be a big test for them to see. Yes, we can run stage for this event. Maybe overseas it or big test for them. I think they'll knock that out of the park, but it'll be huge.
Yeah, I think, and to kind of close on this point, to echo on that, whether this is their WrestleMania, we've all a lot of us have looked at All Out as being that WrestleMania, and I was at the very first All Out, and still something that I will never forget that I ever actually got the opportunity to do. I think that I think it would be fair to say that we should regroup after both shows have run to see what they did with All In to build up to All Out. They also do get a couple of days of TV also sandwiched in between there as well to try to help better build that card. Am I concerned at the moment still? Yes, about kind of what it is we'll see when we look at this entire 2 weeks of wrestling as a whole for AEW. Sure, but Tony Khan's not an idiot. Like he's just not. I think that there is definitely going to be a lot that we can enjoy about it, and I do think that we will still be relatively satisfied. Certainly hoping that I'm happier than I was at the end of Double or Nothing. So,
fingers crossed.
Yeah. But on that note, boys, this has been an absolute honor. Choops, it's always good to hang out, talk some wrestling with you. Bryce, this is your first time joining us as an ambassador to the show here. I'd like to think that we knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah,
but
no, this was fun.
it's we love what we do here at the Wrestling Junkies podcast. So again, remember to like, share, subscribe. We've got our socials and the QR code above. We just stick with us. We appreciate all of your support. We do have merch coming soon, I promise, and it looks absolutely amazing. So, again, for the Frat Daddy Bryce Cannon, for the podcast dad Chris Hoops, I am Mr. Cincinnati, aka Eric Robinson. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. We'll be talking with you real soon. Okay.
And don't touch the tip.
You do not touch the tip.
Go watch some Bray Wyatt attention.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. Till we meet again, everybody.